For my leadership video, I was actually inspired by the TED Talk, The Power of Introverts. The woman who was actually giving this talk talked about how introverts have a suitcase full of things that make them who they are, specifically books. And for mine, I kind of wanted to take a different spin on that. And when I was talking about my leadership philosophy, I wanted to talk about my knapsack of leadership. And the things inside all correlate to my personal leadership philosophy. Some of the things might be a stretch, but this is just how I saw it and how they made sense in my head. So first I'll start out by reading what my leadership philosophy is, and then I'll explain the pieces inside my knapsack. So my leadership philosophy is, leadership is the way that an individual empowers their subordinates to reach their greatest potential while setting an effective example, remaining true to their moral standards, showing intelligence and creativity, maintaining personal relationships, all the while moving the group towards a common goal that is beneficial to everyone. So the first part of that is leadership is the way that an individual empowers other. And for my knapsack, I chose to use the Kisses for Katie book. All the lead students were asked to read this book this summer and respond to a couple blog posts. And this book really spoke to me in the way that Katie's 18 years old and she decided to leave the country and serve children that were in need. And it really told me that if she can do it, I can definitely do something. The second part of it is setting an effective example. So my item for that is a mirror. And a mirror is something that obviously shows you. It shows you a reflection. And a lot of times when we're leading, it's hard to see ourselves. But a mirror allows us to do that. So really what I wanted to use this as a piece that just makes us aware of what we're doing and making sure that we're doing moral and we're doing the right thing as leaders. The third part is remaining true to their moral standards. And for that, I decided to use my Bible. The Bible is a huge foundation in my life. I was raised by parents who believed very much in the Bible. And anytime that I'm ever struggling with something, that if I'm stuck somewhere or if I'm just struggling in my life or there's ever an issue in anything, I turn to God and I turn to the Word. And it never fails that God always manages to speak to me and say, Claire Ruth, let's take some time out. Let's focus on what really matters. And his words have helped me in so many ways, including in my leadership philosophy. And it's a really good foundation. It's a really good base just to touch back on and be like, all right, God, what do I do? The next part is showing intelligence and creativity. And I really wanted to talk more along the lines of the creativity side. But first, with the intelligence, being a leader is very important to make smart decisions, to make decisions that are beneficial and that won't harm your subordinates. But the other side of that is creativity. And I chose to model that with a paint palette, some paint, and a paintbrush. And we actually went to an academy lecture last week, and it was Jessica Cox. And Jessica was born without either one of her arms. And she really opened my eyes to living life, just looking at things that prohibit you from living life and saying, you know what, I can do it. Simple things like holding these paintbrushes in her, holding these things in her hands would be difficult for her. But she makes it work. She chooses to use her feet just like she would her hands. And her motto was really thinking outside of the shoe. And she gave an example of when she learned to tie her shoes with her toes instead of her fingers. And so as a leader, if I can really hone into my creativity and say, you know what, this might not work, but this might, or this might, or hey, my teammate might have a great idea. Let's use their idea. So if I can keep that in mind, I think we can be really successful. The next part is maintaining personal relationships. And so I chose to model that with my cell phone. A lot of people tend to get frustrated, especially older generations who didn't grow up with technology. They tend to get frustrated when kids are forever on their phones or they're talking or they're texting or they're doing things. And they say that they're losing those personal connections. But the way I look at it is if we have these forms of communication, we might as well take advantage of them and use them to benefit us rather than to hinder us. So if there's someone that you're thinking about that you're close with that you haven't talked to in a while, pick up your phone, shoot them a text, call them, spend 30 minutes just, checking up on them, see how they are, and really be be intentional with your relationships that you have. And as a leader, that's exactly what I try to do. Just keep up with them. And lastly, the last part is moving the group towards a common goal that is beneficial to everyone. And I chose to use a picture of graduation. You can kind of see everybody's in front of my high school with my youth minister and from my church. But in all 12 years of high school, the goal is college. The goal is graduation and moving on. And graduation is a symbol of success. And the same thing can be said for being a leader. If you have a team and you're working towards a deadline, or you're doing a big project, making a big presentation, it's really important to just stay focused on the goal. And making sure that everyone is going to benefit from the goal. It's not selfish. It's selfless. And so those are my parts of my leadership philosophy. They all make it up, and that's really what stands out to me. But in conclusion, every leadership philosophy is going to be different. Leadership itself is a process. Therefore, the process is going to be different for everyone. But that doesn't make one better than the other. All it takes is a little bit of effort and a little bit of heart. And as long as you're devoted and determined to be a successful leader, you're going to be a successful leader. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my leadership philosophy.